Next up is talking about weird and wonderful e-commerce functionality that we've been noticing in our space over the past few months. The first of which is New Balance's site. They do something quite interesting. They essentially categorize and group up their products in each of their PLPs. So for instance, we're looking here at the lifestyle shoes category, and you can see that they've actually grouped products together in a logical sense. So best-selling products followed by classic styles, followed by sport styles, etc. And this is useful, I think, from a customer behavior point of view, because if I didn't necessarily land in a particular place that I wanted to on the site, I'm probably going to travel from kind of top down within a platform, within a site. So I'm going to start at men's, I'm going to go into shoes, and then if I'm a bit more of an exploration kind of mission, I'll probably start at them top of parent categories and then scroll down through them. So this gives me that kind of a level of experience, giving me a little bit more inspiration on the range available within a certain category. What do you make of this?
I really like what they've done, actually.
Yeah.
I think we're going to see a lot more of maybe this kind of PLP, where people are just taking a different approach to how you merchandise.
Yeah.
Particularly top-level categories where it's difficult to really know what the intent of the
you've got such a big
is.
range as well, and you've got 300, 400, 500 products in a particular category. Unless you've got a good merchandising platform which is taking into consideration lots of different factors, you're probably going to get quite stagnated results within a category. So I think this really helps.
Yeah, I think it's a really interesting way of doing it, and I think what we'll also start to see more of is I think retailers introducing filtering in a way which is not obvious that it's a filter. So asking questions in a more conversational way.
Yeah, okay.
Where the result is ultimately you're applying a filter, but rather than sort of interacting with the filter blocks that are available in a sort of traditional filter journey, it's just done more conversationally, and so asking customers sort of real questions about, are you looking for this type of product or this type of product, and then that starts somebody down a filtering journey, but in a much more approachable way.
So do you see that content plays quite a big part in that then, in terms of assets and graphics on the site?
Yeah, I think so. I think it's just much more about trying to interpret intent.
Sure.
And is somebody looking to buy today, or is somebody looking for inspiration? And I think they are much easier. It's easier to understand intent by asking real life questions rather than necessarily sort of interacting with a colour, brand, size filter.
Drop down.
And we're looking at this at the moment. I think particularly for us with occasions. So for Moss Bros, obviously, occasion wear is incredibly important for weddings or prom or whatever, and it's I guess it's about taking how you would be approached in store, where our store colleagues wouldn't ask you what colour, what brand. They say, what are you looking for a suit for?
That conversational piece.
And it's that I think we're going to see a lot more of that kind of thing starting to emerge on sites, and ultimately it's about filtering products, but it's doing it in a much more approachable way than we've seen in traditional filter journeys.
Sure. There's some cool tech that I know of which are taking that product discovery piece and making it a little more interactive. Found It is one of them for sure, where they're using navigation and different areas of the site in different ways, in a little bit of a different product discovery type of approach. Other tools do it in different ways, but that's one that I know of. For Moss Bros, what are you kind of thinking in terms of taking Wedding Shop as an example? Are there certain pieces that you want to insert into this category, or give it levels of kind of nicer functions?
There's a fundamental question when anybody's looking for a wedding suit, and that is, are you the groom or are you a guest or a member of the wedding party? And how we then talk to you is going to be probably determined most by that first question.
Indeed.
And that's not a typical filter.
No,
we don't have that as a filter option. But if we can get customers to answer that question as part of the journey, we can really start to customize not just the products that we put in there, but we integrate a lot of content into our product listing pages, and we can make sure that product is right and relevant.
Sure.
And also the buying cycle is very different. If you're a groom, you'll tend to be kind of thinking about this well in advance, whereas if you're a guest, you're much more likely to have left it closer to the event date.
And do your propositions come in at that point as well? Because you have two, don't you, where you've got the rental piece, but you also have the buy now kind of proposition.
Absolutely. And we also have Tailor Me, which is our custom made option. There's a 21-day lead time for that. So if we can sort of tease out of somebody in a conversational way the event date, we know whether that proposition is relevant or not.
Exactly.
Whether they've got time for going down the custom made route.
Yeah, makes sense. Cool. Good. What's the time? Do you want to do anything more on weird functionality? The only sites you want to...
I did have one thing, which was I wanted to say that actually we don't see that much weird and wonderful.
Good point. Yeah, that's a good point.
I've got a kind of couple of thoughts on that.
Yeah. So let's where should we go from?
How do you want to put that in?
Let's chop it in. So I guess apart from your typical functionality on a site, filtering on a PLP, buy grid on a PDP, nice landing pages with nice experiences, is there anything else you feel that is weird or interesting in our space at the moment?
Probably on PLPs and PDPs and checkouts, we actually don't see that much change.
It's true, actually,
and that's it's probably quite understandable.
From a consumer perspective, because they're, I guess, set in their ways in some regard.
Absolutely. If you were a car designer, there's one place where you put the pedals and the steering wheel and the gear stick, right? Because you don't expect somebody to have to learn to drive again when they buy a new car. And I think we're at a stage of maturity in e-commerce now where people kind of know and expect where things should be. And I think you'd be pretty bold to go too far out of that. So I think what we see now is definitely an evolution and not a revolution. Because you would be potentially putting something in front of consumers that they're just not expecting.
Yeah, true.
And there's a big risk with that. So I think it's much more subtle, smaller changes that we will continue to see now.
Yeah, I think there's still revolutions happening in some regard, but they don't, I guess, completely change the landscape. You look at Zara, for instance, their layouts are very different. They have much more, I guess, interesting approaches to certain, but all they're doing is really mirroring their brand, their in-store experience. That's all they're doing. When you look at the actual functionality and features on that site, there's not that much different, like you say. No. You can still do the same thing. You still check out. You still filter products. It's just where it is on a page. And I think obviously people will continue to look to bring those in-store experiences that we're quite used to. How our store colleagues will try and create an entire outfit for a customer and not just sell them a suit or a jacket or whatever. So I think we're looking at how we can bring that kind of cross-sell into the online journey as well. But I think fundamentally things will change very gradually, and it's slowly. Only when we look back over time you'll see things difference,
looking wildly different.
Cool.